Okay. So, hello and welcome back to the That's Metal Parks channel here at YouTube. As you can see from the title, my very first Q&A video, which of course I had announced back last month that I would be doing a Q&A video, and of course it was on my anniversary video. In a way, this is kind of the makeup for my anniversary. It's to definitely, well, have you guys ask me, questions, whatever. And yeah. So for this, what I've gotten is about at least 3 questions here. One of them being quite lengthy. So this video might be kind of long. I don't know how long, but knowing how these are, usually these type of videos are usually, well, long. But, yeah. However, I'm definitely want to also, definitely pitch this. If you kind of missed out on the, and submitting your answer, your questions to me, I probably can do a part 2 to this Q&A video. I could do a part 2, and here you probably can ask me questions, or I can have you go back to my anniversary video and have you submit your questions over there, or maybe on Facebook, which I am on, and if you feel like, yeah, I will do that. So, anyways, let's not screw around. Let's definitely get into this. So, this first question here comes from Cloudy Mulder. Great channel, guy from the UK. Just a great YouTuber. Cool guy. So, yeah, so here he has a question for me. So, congrats on 4 years. That's quite an achievement. Quite an achievement. Here's a question for you. What piece of your music collection is your most prized possession? Doesn't have to be the most valuable. Could be because of sentimentality. Well, probably not just one, but there's a few, but I only picked out 3 that definitely did mean. And it's very sentimental, and it definitely has to do with someone that I never got the chance to meet. He was a family member. He would have been my uncle, but that's of course albums being, well, German pressings for Deep Purple's In Rock, and these 2 albums from Grand Funk Railroad being Survival and the live album. They're all German pressings. He bought these right pretty much when they were original, back in the 70s. Early 70s. He once did stuff out in Germany, and that's when he picked these up. I never had the chance to meet him. He died way before I was even born. But the fact, and of course there's a few records in there, whatever, but the thing is, he had bought these years ago, and yeah, to me these are probably the most sentimental pieces, and ones, even if I had to come down to selling my records or anything, or selling any of the records there, I would not sell these. Especially these German pressings for the Grand Funk Railroad albums right here. And especially Deep Purple's In Rock. I would not sell these. And of course, his name is written on the record label, on the actual record, like where the spin or whatever is. So that's why I would not sell these. They are very sentimental, and yep, definitely pretty much, yeah. The most sentimental records in my collection are ones from definitely someone I never got to meet. But at least he left some great records, especially Deep Purple's In Rock. They have a freaking German pressing, which basically it's the European version of In Rock, which of course includes the full version of Speed King and not the watered down edited version that was put on the US copies. So yeah, definitely I would never. It's a freaking heavy metal classic as well, or at least a record that did influence the whole heavy metal genre. Of course, how you know that it's a German pressing is also by the Horsur. And of course, it was also on the Harvest label. So, yeah, because it's on Harvest EMI and it has the whole Horsur thing, it's a German pressing for sure. And it's a here I guess I can show it's a gatefold. Of course, original artwork and German artwork. So that's how you kind of know that this is at least a German pressing. Is also by this artwork right here, as opposed to the one with the blue background. So, my most sentimental record, at least in my collection. I know he's got a few, again, I got a few from, that were left from him, but the thing is, these are probably the best ones, and these are the ones in the better condition. But I still wouldn't sell those. So, yeah, thank you for the question, and I definitely answered it. Alright, so this next question comes from Vinyl Transmission. Congratulations on the anniversary album of the week. Sounds awesome and would be a killer series to see from you. I mean IMHO. Along with that theme, what is the world's most needed metal reissue? The album that is obscure and expensive right now, but could be reissued and grow some new metal heads. That's a really tough question, and before going this, I kept thinking of some of these, but I guess the ones that can definitely come to my mind are ones that do have at least a cult following in some ways, but in a way, I do think these are quite really needed when it comes to metal reissue, and that's, of course, is Matacopus coming out ahead, and of course Betrayer of Kings by Salem's Witch. Two albums that are so fucking tough to get a hold of, the most expensive albums, and definitely good albums as well, and no one has ever decided to reissue them. The only cheapest you'll ever find the Betrayer of Kings is usually at around almost over $100 at least. The cheapest, at least, is like $150, I guess. But usually you get to find that record made for $200 or $300. It's ridiculous. So it's like, why hasn't nobody ever cared to reissue Betrayer of Kings by Salem's Witch other than in bootleg form is quite ridiculous. And of course, coming out ahead by Matacopus, definitely one. Another one that is quite really obscure, and it's a German, early German metal album from like the early 80s at least, is Gator. An album I just got into recently, because I was really digging in the whole early German scene before bands such as Running Wild and Helloween and Creator and Sodom and Destruction Tankard and these bands came along. There was a scene beforehand that definitely was within the late 70s, early 80s, right around the time of the whole new wave of British heavy metal movement. And one of these bands was Gator, and they released only one album in 1982. And it's a good album, but it's an album that he's usually pretty damn expensive. So that's an album I would like to see reissued. And I think it would probably gain some new metalheads. So there's that question right there. Of course, that's the album of the week was something I definitely had pitched in my anniversary video, basically, where instead of the whole band of the week thing where I just showcase a band almost every week, instead an album by a band. Maybe even one of these one and done albums by bands or so, you know. But I also almost thought about pitching another idea that would lead in to the whole album of the week thing that would fit perfectly with it. That's, of course, is a album versus album thing, where basically people, and I'll have it as like a poll, where everyone will be able to actually pick that album or so, and that album would end up becoming the album of the week. Maybe for the determine the first album of the week. It'd be really interesting, but I want to see album versus album. Kind of similar to that whole fucking throwdown shit that you saw on that metal show, but in a way much more interesting and focused on albums that are actually more worth talking about than your average fucking Pantera versus other fucking Pantera album. Fuck that. Nothing against Pantera, but I think it's so fucking predictable, especially when it comes to that sort of thing, because all they did was basically just scrape at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to those. It's like, yeah, I understand it. You're a fucking a channel on VH1 Classic. You want to focus on 80s stuff or classic stuff from at least from maybe the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But Jesus, you don't have to always focus on the mainstream stuff, for fuck's sake. You can always go deeper into more obscure stuff that was also from there, that was at one point even, you know, popular back in those times. They always have to come up with some stupid excuse for why they couldn't try and add in something different. But the new release, it's a classic channel. We can't stop with the fucking excuse. It's why you're off TV. Jesus. Wow, I just went for a rant there. But, again, that was definitely my little pitch there as well. If anyone likes that idea, the album versus album idea that would lead into the whole album of the week, definitely give your thoughts on it, especially the idea that it would be a poll, which I do have, which everyone is at least have the option for one of their videos to post a poll and have people vote. And that would be a pretty cool activity thing right there for my channel. If anyone's actually all for that, definitely let me know. Alright, so, let me see how we're doing for time. Right now, we're at 13. So, this is the last question here for this Q&A. This might be part 1. This might be part 2. No, not part 1, but there might be a part 2. Alright. Now here's time for the last question here. This, of course, came from Storm Rider. Grats, man. I kind of surprised about the questions asked. I actually have a lot. What's your fave band? What do you do for a living? When did you start playing guitar, and why did you got formal did you get formal guitar lessons? What are your top 10 albums? What's your favorite style of the metal genre? How many band t-shirts you got, and what is your favorite? What's your favorite YouTube channel? What's next to Heavy Thrasher? Your real name in reality life? Man, I could go on and on, but I leave it with this. Take care. A lot of questions there, man. That's a lot of them, and I'll definitely try and answer these as best as I can. So, the first question here from Storm Rider that was definitely brought up was, what's your fave band? That's really tough. But if I really have to go, it'd probably be the one that really kicked off at least heavy music. I could definitely can go and say maybe Judas Priest. But to me it's actually AC/DC. For one, they definitely warmed me up for some of the heavier stuff, even at times maybe some of the speed. Songs such as Landslide off the Flick of the Switch album was quite possibly the most speed metal AC/DC really got, at least in the 1980s. They definitely sure gave Motorhead a bit of a run for their money with that track. And in a way, it's probably a reason why I got into Motorhead was thanks to getting into that style of AC/DC. Same with Accept, with the more later AC/DC albums of Brian Johnson with his more troll-like raspy voice, which in a way kind of really prepared me for a guy such as Udo Dirkschneider. But again, it's probably my most favorite band when it comes to at least both hard rock and at times metal. AC/DC is definitely the one band. I know they're definitely not really a metal band in ways, but they are very much a respected band within both genres. So, and they are one of my first exposures to the whole hard rock heavy metal thing. And yeah, so in a way that would be my most favorite band, and that's probably the band that I own the most material from. Yeah, you could probably can say that because they're so easy, but at the same time, it was a band that I definitely really got into, and in a way, a band that you get into so much, and for that matter, albums that you can easily get. Yeah, they'll say for at least some of the Australian pressings, which those have been kind of tough. But again, since they are such a favorite band, I really have no problem going out of my way to spend as much if I have to on an Australian copy of a classic AC/DC, especially the ones from the Bon Scott era with all the sort of different, arrangement tracks or so that aren't always on the U.S. pressing. So I'm making that more more interesting for me at least, or more better for me at least to buy again. So there's that. Now the next question you definitely asked me was, what do you do for a living? I'm definitely going to be honest with you, I really don't have a job. I'm going to definitely say, and I definitely did not finish school. I did not do any of that. I did do school, but I definitely got out due to some of the bullshit. I guess you could say politics, whatever. And of course, these days, the school system, in a way, I'm kind of getting a bit serious here. The school system is very, it's crap. It's very political in a ways, and the stuff that they get you to do is quite unnecessary. Just they always have to throw something down you, and from experience, my brother definitely went through this crap, and from that, it definitely kind of told me that maybe it was a good thing, because the fact that you have to go through unnecessary hoops just to finish something, just to get a fucking degree, is quite ridiculous, and yet they also have to add in more excusable BS in their fucking system. So, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I can't educate myself still, because obviously with the stuff that you can get your hands on these days, it's like, do you really have to? But yet the fucking law says that you have to do it, but at the same time, do you? Do you really have to? with all the shit that you can at least get your hands on these days, and of course when it comes to books and whatever, they seem to also change a lot of stuff as well. History books these days, the newer ones, seem to be getting rid of a lot of information that were put on the original one of the very earlier school books that were given out years ago. So in a way, there's a lot of BS within the whole school system, and I'm definitely not gonna go into too much unless I get for it. But in a way, it's why I'm not in there. It's in a way you got tired of it. You get fucking tired of it because of, well, too much BS, like I say. Too much BS, and yet it's never been changed, and it's likely it's going to get far worse for those. But, so in a way, what do I do for a living? Well, I make music. And and sure right now, I got a Bandcamp page. I can definitely link you to my Bandcamp page to check out what I do, but I only have it as a free download. I have yet to go and put a whole, business account with PayPal to start making my albums, for people to purchase. But the thing is, don't know if anyone else is really interested that much to actually want to buy it or even care to download it. I don't know, but in a way, always try something. And but I'm not going to go on and just start a fucking Patreon so I can have people give me money, whatever, because of, like, what? For what? But I do live with my parents. Yep, I'm definitely putting that one out. So maybe you can now probably say that I'm a freaking deadbeat. But I find ways to get my hands on at least cash in some ways. So I'm not the most helpless person. So with that's what I do for a living, is try and make music. That's basically what I really want to do for a living, is make music, because I'm such a fan and I want to, well, record and make it. But who knows? In a way, though, with the videos and everything, I'm definitely quite getting some good exposure in some ways, I guess. So something's working out. So there's that question. Probably not the best definitive answer, but that's at least the best answer I can give you for what I do for a living. Next question here that he asked me was, when did you start playing guitar and why? When did I start? God, 2004, 5, 6? Jesus Christ, I can't come with a big definitive. But that's when, but I think when I started getting better was by 2009. And of course, coming to go along with this question, he also asked, did you get formal guitar lessons? No, I did not get lessons. I am self-taught. I basically learned from ear. So, of course, I did have some help from at least someone who, I'm definitely not going to go into full detail because it would just derail the whole Q&A video. But to make a long story short, a girl that at least lived across the street here, who did come around a few times, was friends with my sister here, definitely somewhat gave me a little bit of a boost in at least trying to play or so. And away from that, I went from there, and I basically, well, throughout the years, kept trying, and away, I'm definitely a lot better than I was years ago. I can definitely say that, and whenever at least you check out my stuff, you'll definitely see that I definitely do know how to play. But I'm probably not, but I'm not going to say that I'm the most greatest guitar god to ever fucking live, like Eric B. Yeah. So there was that question there. What are your top 10 albums? Man, shit. My top 10 albums, if fucking come up with that for this video, it would be ridiculous. It would be crazy. I think in order to really give you a really good answer to that is if I actually do a video where I do showcase my personal top 10 albums. And it probably won't be top 10 albums of what genre or whatever, but albums that I definitely love in a way, like the albums that really mean a lot to me. In a way, that would be that sort of thing. In a way, that would be my top 10 albums, the ones that definitely stick with me forever. So I'll definitely do a video for that. Who knows, it might not come this month, might not come next month, but one of these months I will get around to doing at least that, because that's the best way I can at least give you a definitive answer to that question of what's my top 10 albums. So, next question, what's your favorite style of the metal genre? Man, I can tell you that it's probably more on the traditional metal side, but I can't, though, again, I don't know if I can give you a definitive answer, but because these days I'm getting into a lot more of the whole stoner doom type of genre, and in a way, but that genre in a way kind of comes more closer to home because I grew up with some of the 70s hard rock style stuff, and that some of the doom stuff kind of really hits home to that. Sure, it can be heavy or so, it's like Black Sabbath in a way, but in a way, Black Sabbath were definitely one of my fave bands. Kind of, but a band that I definitely listened to a lot growing up. So, in a way, stuff like that definitely kind of hits home sort of way. Maybe it's that classic, sound, classic, hard and heavy sound, at least. Maybe the sort of classic, just like classic heavy metal sound, either from the 70s to at least maybe 80s or so. So, in a way, probably not really the most definitive, fave genre, not just one, but it's one that I definitely listen to a lot more these days than really like thrash or death metal or fucking black metal, even though I'm not the biggest black metal fan, to be quite honest, but there are exceptions here and there, so it's... yeah. So, basically just that classic heavy sound. That would classic heavy metal. Basically that. So, the next one here, how many band t-shirts you got, and what is your favorite? Dude, I got quite a bit of band t-shirts, and I could, you know what, I can do I'll actually do a video on that, because that's a really good, idea for a video, and I've always thought about showing off my band t-shirts and what I have, and that, that would be it, both the top 10 albums for me, and of course my dog is now barking, and of course metal t-shirts that I own. That'd be that. Huh. Yeah, that would be, so that'll definitely be coming up. Who knows, probably not this month, probably not next month, but one of these times I will get around to doing those two videos, being top 10 albums and metal band t-shirts of what I own. And I may even in there tell you which one might be my favorite, even though I don't know if I could give you a really good definitive answer on what is my favorite. So, here... what's your favorite YouTube channel? Got a lot of YouTube channels. Hold on a second though. Hey Rich. Hey. Come here. Come here. Come here. Man, I really don't know what to actually tell you, but as far as favorite YouTube channel, geez, I have no fucking clue what I can give you on what's my favorite YouTube channel. There's a lot of good YouTube channels on them. And of course, these days, yeah, I really don't know if I have a definitive favorite channel, because again, there's a lot of YouTube channels I like, and for the whole vinyl community, geez, it almost takes up most of my subscriptions. But there are some exceptions. Probably my most favorite might be the one that I would be the one that I definitely that got me at least to do YouTube. Would be probably Cinemassacre. Of course, James Rolfe. Yeah, it's like I love watching the James and Mike Mondays type videos. I love the Cinemassacre, the videos or so, just James talking about horror movies or so, or classic monster films like that. Monster Madness, I think that's what the series is. And of course, the Angry Video Game Nerd. I love watching those, even though some of the recent Angry Video Game Nerd videos are not usually favorited in ways, even though there are some exceptions here and there. But it's not always put on a high pedestal as the classic Angry Video Game Nerd episodes from like 2005, 6, 7, all the way through, geez, at least maybe 2010 maybe would be the sort of peak at least. But the thing is, I love his videos. I probably like the Angry Video Game Nerd videos more so than Nostalgia Critic's recent videos. Not because I'm against Nostalgia Critic. I love that guy. I like, Doug Walker. But as far as, consistency, Angry Video Game Nerd is probably the most consistent of those classic YouTubers. And when it comes to classic channels from that classic era of YouTube, before it became we're all about Google, but in a way, yeah, that probably would be my most favorite YouTuber, a guy that definitely introduced me to the whole world of YouTube in a way, and what can be done on such a platform like YouTube. So there is definitely my answer for that. So next question you then ask me. I think this might be the last one. What's next to Heavy Thrashhead? Your real name and daily life. What's next to Heavy Thrashhead? Well, I don't know if I can give you a good definitive answer on that, but as far as my real name is Benjamin Smith. Yep. Breaking. Then again, I'm not a character, but it's just a cool, pseudo name. Heavy Thrash is just a real cool pseudo name. That's why it's a name that I used on forums. It first started as Thrashhead on Yahoo.com. By the time I think by the time I started going on the blog spot, like Lockjaw, which I'm not going to tell you about, because I have a video where I do talk about that whole Lockjaw story, or the stories of Lockjaw or whatever, but I think from there I definitely started using the name Heavy Thrashhead, and from there on it stuck with me. And since then, it's stuck with me. So, I think that was pretty much the last question you asked me, and again, all good questions from you, Storm Rider. Those were all good questions and definitely took up most of this video. And of course, this is going to be one hell of a long video. So, yeah. Thank you for your questions, everyone. And if you do want to see a part 2, definitely let me know in this video. And for those, at least for those who hadn't yet asked me a question. But if this is the only Q&A video that I do this year, there will always be a next time. There will always be a next time. Maybe by the time I reached my, maybe somewhere around my 400. Maybe if I reach about 400 subscribers, I'll do another Q&A video. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. If everyone's all busy or so and didn't get around to it, you can always try and pitch for a part 2 of this Q&A. But if you don't have the time, I'll always give you until the minute I reach my 400 subscribers to do another Q&A video. So, until then, thank you. And of course, what I was drinking was a San Pellegrino. This, of course, is, I think it's great. Yeah, blood orange, actually. Blood orange. Good shit. So, until then, this is Heavy Thrasher Sam out. And thank you for your questions. Thank you for all the subscribers. Thank you for all the support that I've gotten. Thank you to everyone. I wouldn't be going on this far if it was for you guys. When a YouTuber says that when they think their fans are so for the subscribe, when it comes to all of these, in a way, they mean it. And for me, I'm one of those that definitely can at least relate to those who get as far as they do, because it's all to the people. It's all the ones who subscribe to them. You're the ones that matter. Anyone that comes to my channel who is new, that just wants to basically give me shit, you are not the one that I give a damn about. It's the subscribers that I have, and what I have, I am thankful for. So, thank you very much, and until then, this channel is going to keep growing. It's going to keep going strong. Take care, everyone.